Hello YouTube, it's Ryan here with Hobbies of Man once again, and today we are doing another first impressions review. Today we're going to be looking at Magus of the Library, or Magus of the Library. I don't know how to pronounce it. I think it's Magus, that sounds correct to me, so let's go with Magus of the Library, written by Mitsu Izumi and published by Kodansha. I don't have a physical volume of it because I have this, I had bought this online a few months ago, probably even close to a year ago. But I definitely am going to switch to physical editions for this because it's just so beautiful. I want to own it physically. So, yeah, the demographic here is seinen. However, I think most of the stuff that it kind of does in the first volume is very much a standard shonen kind of feeling beginning of a story. It actually it's kind of similar to Vinland Saga in that sense, where like it starts pretty shonen-esque and then it's like, oh, well, never mind, it's kind of dark. We got to make it seinen. And it's pretty interesting. It's really good. I liked it a lot, actually. So the genres here are adventure and fantasy. And other than that, I'm not sure where it's going to go because this first volume is very much its like own closed kind of situation. But based on what happens, I'm guessing this is going to turn into a type of travel log of some sort. So something similar to One Piece or Radiant Zero, where like they go somewhere and then they do something and then they go somewhere else, and you know it kind of retells you the elements of their travels and what they kind of see and do at each kind of location, right? So I think that's what it's going to be. I'm not exactly sure. In general, it's just adventure and fantasy, and this does not have an adaptation, but I don't know if the series has already ended or if it just hasn't gotten popular enough for a anime, but I feel like it definitely deserves one. It would be really, really cool. So I really hope that it gets one at some point, but so far I have not seen any information about the anime adaptation of this story. So I just wrote it down as there isn't one. So correct me if I'm wrong down in the comments. But yeah, the premise here is a little bit difficult to kind of figure out because for most of the story you think it's going one way, and then it ends and it's like, oh no, it's actually going this slightly different way. But basically it's a very kind of classic hero's journey type of tale. However, the hero's journey starts like a lot before than usual. Like, you know, does that make sense in English? Like, I don't know, but okay. So it happened. Like the story starts, and this first volume is basically a prologue to the actual story, from what I can tell. And basically, this first volume deals with this child who happens to be half elf. I'm guessing he has little pointy ears, and everyone calls him a half blood, or they just make fun of his ears in some way. So I'm guessing he's a half elf. And he lives in this place. He's the only person that's like particularly light skinned. Everyone else is kind of more like Mediterranean looking or Middle Eastern looking, I guess. And he's the only person with light skin and pointy ears. And so he's basically harassed for being different. And he also is someone from the slums of the city, but he likes reading, or it's not really a city, it's a town. But he likes reading, and he tries his hardest to go to school and try to learn to read and stuff like that, and to learn like schooling in general, so that he can kind of rise out of his situation. Eventually, he kind of stumbles across these people that are basically librarians, but they're kind of like also a special task force kind of thing, and he helps one of them, and then he's entrusted with a book. Turns out that people think that he stole it, and so it gets taken away from him. And then the person that stole it happened to be the guy in charge of the library. And there's a fire that happens in the library because the guy in charge was greedy and he took something he shouldn't have. And the boy goes and saves the book, but also saves the man that took it away from him. And basically, this is the start of our adventure. And this young boy, who we don't know the name of until the end of the story, is going to be our hero. And so this story starts before the hero's journey starts, before he sets off away from home. So that's kind of what I meant there. But it's a really beautiful story. I think the most interesting aspect of it was not necessarily the character progression. I didn't really care. It was a very normal kind of like kind-hearted, very nice and genuine child who happens to have like shit put on him because he's different from everyone else, and he wants to kind of rise out of these horrible things that happen to him. So it wasn't really all that interesting because it's pretty standard, you know, epic fantasy type stuff. But the world building and the female librarian characters were so interesting. I was so excited to learn more about the story. Like, there's so many things about it that are so interesting. There's this kind of very interesting and meaningful mix and matching of like different cultural aspects from around the world. There's a lot of medieval type looking stuff. There's a lot of Middle Eastern type looking stuff. It kind of reminds me of Magi in that sense. It's kind of had that same vibe. It has a lot of like Muslim mythology kind of stuff in it. But also has elements of mythologies from other places. There's a lot of like Mayan / Mesoamerican type designs on things. There's some Native American designs on things. There's some, you know, Egyptian and Roman and Zoroastrian and, you know, all sorts of things mixed into there. And I always find that super interesting. I'm a big fan of history, of world history, ancient history. And so all of that type of stuff is really interesting to me, especially after I took this art history class, which looked at all of that type of stuff. And I was like, oh, this is so cool. It's not really something I want to study as like my career, but it was really interesting. And I liked it a lot. And seeing all of that type of stuff combined with these librarian, inquisitor, task force type of people. Inquisitor is maybe not the right word because that kind of implies a negative, but these kind of like, I don't know, these like warriors of knowledge, basically. It's really cool. I really like it a lot. I think it's really beautiful and very interesting. The art style is amazing. Honestly, that was the most beautiful aspect of the story, of the manga, but I just liked all of it in general. I thought it was really, really good. So I definitely want to buy more of it. And I'm going to be switching over to the physical editions. I think there's only 4 of them out right now. I don't know what's going on with that series, but I've only ever seen 4 of them out in the wild. So either it ended at 4 or it's on hiatus. I'm not sure. But it's really good. I definitely recommend you guys read it. It's very, very beautiful. So, yeah. That's all I have to say. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did, please leave a like, subscribe, and comment down below. Let me know what you thought. And thank you guys very much for watching. See you guys later.